In 2025, TEI published a new paper called The Practical Guide to Cost-Effective Fleet Emissions Reductions. And with that, we published an online calculator of what we call Fleet IQ. Through Fleet IQ, a fleet operator can go online and they can customize about 36 variables. They can look at, this is my current vehicle, this is the type of engine or fuel I'm contemplating, this is my current cost structure, this is the cost structure I think is going to happen. We have default values, so if you don't know that information, at least we can populate with some default values. You can get into how long do I expect to have the vehicle, what are my operating conditions, how many miles a day, how many days a year, how long do I think I'm going to own the vehicle, what's my financial issues, am I buying the vehicle outright, am I financing the vehicle, what are my terms, what is my energy acquisition solution, am I buying from people in the market, or am I going to install my own depot? And you can factor all that in there. What this does is it allows you to evaluate a one-to-one relationship. What is my cost for this, whatever replacement strategy you're contemplating, and what's my emissions impact? And it really is a guide. It's not a solution. It's not a final answer, but it helps fleet managers better understand what their options might be. And in today's world, in the United States, it seems like emissions are taking a back seat in the common discussion because the prioritization of the administration has changed. That being said, emissions remain a high priority globally. They remain a high priority for a big chunk of the American society. Businesses are still focused on emissions reductions. Communities are still focused on emissions reductions. And so even though there's been a change in prioritization at the federal level within the administration, does not negate the value of emissions reduction. And so when we look at that commercial vehicle space, it represents a big chunk of emissions, a big chunk of our economy. Understanding how we can improve that market, both from an emissions perspective and a financial performance perspective, is really important. And the reason TEI has put forth these resources and has this concentrated committee to focus on these topics is because the heartbeat of the American economy is commerce. And vehicles who support commerce are so critical to the economic engine. We need to really understand how we can reduce emissions in a way that is economically sustainable and advantageous for the fleet operators and their customers.